Imagine flying halfway across the world to visit your family, landing in Minnesota, ready for adventure, and then getting the message that everything you brought with you is still in Amsterdam. Exactly this happened to me on my recent visit to the United States, and on today, August 17th, 2025, we're going to talk about what you need to and can do in this situation, what the airlines are legally required to do, and how you can get some money.
Just like the wind, just let it pass through, just let it pass you. You do what you
I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I've also written 2 travel related books, one a little bit more about travel, one a little bit more about theater. Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship and Places Please are available on Amazon now. This is not the first time that I have had my luggage go missing. I'm gonna say it's probably the 4th or 5th time, but for somebody who spends as much time going in and out of airports as I do, I guess that's not that bad of a ratio? I don't know, what do you think? In last week's Sunday Sofa Time, I sat down here and told you about all the things that went wrong in this weirdly chaotic travel experience I had getting to the United States and back. Seriously, the fact that my bag was delayed is just one minor thing that happened in this experience. And usually what happens when your bag doesn't make the flight because it's delayed or missing or whatever the case is, you'll be standing there with everybody else watching all the suitcases go around. You'll see less and less suitcases and less people, and then all of a sudden it's only you with no suitcase. On this recent trip, I was lucky enough that they actually made an announcement that my bag didn't make the flight, so I didn't have to wait there and be that poor lonely soul with no suitcase at the end. But so the first thing you have to do when it happens is inform the airline. Nowadays, most airlines have a function for this in the app, but I'm going to give you a little piece of advice, and that is, don't use the app. Go to an actual person at the claims counter in the luggage area of the airport. I can tell you from my recent experience and other recent experiences using the online functions of these apps to get any kind of customer service, it's just not cute. And don't let me talk about trying to get somebody on the telephone. So if you are at the airport and have the opportunity to speak to an actual person to claim your missing bag, that's what you should do. When you get up to the counter to make this claim, they're gonna ask you what flight you were on, what your bag looks like, and where you want it to be delivered when and if it does show up. So be prepared to provide all that information when you get there. You might have to look up your hotel address or wherever you're staying. If you're on a cruise that leaves the next day, you're gonna have to provide them with all the ports that you'll be at, because that will give them a better chance to sort of catch up with you along the way. And one little tip I can give you is when I am at the airport, I always take a picture of my suitcase before I check it in, not only to prove, yeah, look, I had a suitcase here, but also because then it's easier to describe what it looks like if you just have a picture of it to show the person filling out this form. Once you get all that done, you are going to get one of these. This is a property irregularity report, or a PIR as it's called, I guess. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? This is the one I got from Delta just a couple weeks ago. I put a little post-it here over the number because I don't know. What you get then is a file reference number, and then when you go to the website of the airline and click on the baggage area of the website, you can put this in there and it tells you the current status, and it even shows you where your bag is at the moment. Another tip I can give you is to put some kind of location device like an Apple AirTag in your suitcase, because you can share that information with the airlines and that will also help locate your suitcase. Also, you know, when you check in your bags, if you do self-check, they always print out a little ticket like this, and if you do it at the counter, they put the little stickers on the back of your boarding pass. Never ever throw those things away. If your bag goes missing, you're gonna need to show them to prove that you checked in a bag. If possible, after you get the report in your hand, ask them if they can send a confirmation of it to your email as well. Okay, so your bag didn't make it. You filled out the property irregularity report. Now what? Well, the first thing you're gonna do is just try to enjoy being wherever you are anyways. Ideally, your bag goes missing when you get home, because then you have all your other stuff at home anyways. If it's missing on the first day of your trip someplace, I don't know, what can you do? Try not to worry about it. That's also why, of course, it's important to always have anything that you can't live without for a couple days in your carry-on bags. I know I don't need to tell you this, but don't put any important medication or things like that in your checked bags because bags go missing. And airlines are required to provide you with assistance for first needs. That means like essential things that you have to get for this first day or day and a half until hopefully the bag shows up on the next flight. What does that mean? It means you get to go shopping, but don't go overboard. This is where it gets kind of interesting. I did a little bit of research. I also read what's listed in this thing. So what Delta says is, reasonable expenses generally are $50 per day the bag is delayed. And then it says in bold print, the guidelines for reasonable expenses are not daily limits or a maximum. Additional expenses may be incurred and will be handled on an individual basis. Reasonable expenses are around $50 a day, but legally, they're not allowed to set a limit. So I guess in a situation, I'm trying to think of an example. Got one. Let's say you're flying someplace that you have to, on the first day, have super warm clothing for. Maybe you're working on the top of a mountain or something like that. I think then technically you're going to need to get that kind of clothing so you can go to work that day. And of course, something like that is going to cost way more than $50. And if you can prove to the airline, if I didn't buy these things, I couldn't go to work and therefore I would have lost all these wages for that day, then I'm pretty sure they will have to reimburse you for that. But if you're just on vacation or holiday, then I think it's seen a little bit different. And it's also different for domestic flights and international flights. And there's a difference between a bag that's just delayed and a bag that's totally missing. So let's just assume that your bag at first is just delayed. That's what usually happens. I've never had a suitcase go completely missing and never get it back. Please let me know if this has happened to you and how much money you got to claim. When you do go shopping for your necessary things, like I said, don't go overboard and make sure you save the receipts. Let me tell you what I bought. A plain black t-shirt that was $14. I bought some Hanes premium underwear
that are kind of tight and sexy,
but actually not comfortable at all. I bought a pair of shorts, which I'm actually wearing right now. And then I bought some hair gel, some face cream, and some deodorant. My mom had an extra toothbrush and toothpaste for me. The total for all of this was $80. And I don't feel like I went overboard. I bought 1 day's worth of clothing and 3 toiletries, and it still cost $80. And they reimbursed me for more than $50 worth of it, but not the whole thing. Hey Siri, how many US dollars is 69 euros?
69 euros is $80.89.
Oh, it is the full amount. Wow, the dollar is super weak right now. I wonder why that is. When you go to the website, go to the baggage options. That is where you will be able to enter your claim number and then upload the receipts for your necessary items. And then hopefully later that day or the next day, your bag is going to show up. Usually it just gets put on the next flight to wherever you're going. And unless you're going someplace really exotic, the next flight is usually just later that day or at the same time the next day. By the way, you can also claim expenses if your baggage is damaged or if something in it is damaged. The rules for this are a little bit trickier because they also account for wear and tear and say that anything that's inside has a certain amount of depreciation, so you can't get the same amount for a new Balenciaga sweater because if you've already worn it for a while, it's not worth the new price. Does Balenciaga make sweaters? I don't know. So now let's talk about what happens if your bag is actually gone forever. This is where it gets really interesting with the different amounts that you can be reimbursed because it's very different for international flights as opposed to domestic US flights. I know many of you who watch this are from other countries other than the US, but I'm just going to focus on these two things right now. So a while back, there was something agreed on by a bunch of airlines together called the Montreal Convention. This is for international travel. They came up with a kind of point system, which is a little bit different in every country. And at first I was like, this sounds so complicated, but I get it now. It's because you can't just say, okay, if somebody's bag disappears, they should get $1,000. Because $1,000, like I just realized, is way less than 1,000 euros, and 1,000 Turkish lira is way, way less than $1,000. So this point system is sort of relevant to local currency and the cost of things locally. But the approximate amount that you can claim if your bag goes totally missing hovers around 1,650 euros or 1,800 US dollars according to this Montreal Convention. That doesn't mean that every time your bag goes missing, that's how much you can get. Of course, you are going to have to jump through a few hoops. If you had some things in there that are especially expensive, you're going to have to prove that you purchased them at some point and that they were in your possession. And now here's an interesting note. If your bag disappears on a domestic flight, according to the Department of Transportation, you are eligible to be reimbursed for up to $3,800. Dang.
What you got in your suitcase that cost $3,800?
Yeah, I guess if you have some important tools or technology or something, sometimes maybe $3,800 isn't even close to enough if it totally goes missing. By the way, speaking of delayed versus missing, according to the airlines, a delayed bag is anything up to 21 days, and a missing bag is 21 days and after that. So it could happen that you fly someplace for vacation, your bag doesn't make it, you go through the whole vacation every day just buying a little more and a little more and a little more. Then you end up flying home, having to buy a new suitcase to put all your new clothes and stuff into. And not until 21 days later does the airline say, okay, we give up, your bag is gone. I have 2 more special tips for you about this situation that I'm going to get to right after this commercial break. And let me just remind you that giving this video a thumbs up really helps me. And if you're not subscribed yet, give it a try. Okay, there are some other things you can do and ways you can get reimbursed or at least made comfortable in this situation. And the first one is check if your credit card has an insurance for lost or delayed baggage. Many major credit cards do. Many major credit cards also offer a kind of travel insurance if you purchase the travel with the card. And that's the other thing. If you don't have travel insurance with your credit card, then please tell me you have it in some other way. You're not traveling without insurance, are you? And a lot of travel insurance also offers you reimbursement in this situation. So if you're having problems with the airline, check those things too. So let's go through a quick rundown again. Always take a picture of your bag so you know exactly what it looks like. Make your claim before you leave the airport and make sure you take your property irregularity report with you. Sign into the website or use the app to get reimbursed for any necessary things you have to buy on the first or second or third day. But don't go overboard. If it doesn't show up, make sure you have any really necessary things in your carry-on. And by the way, you should never put a computer or an iPad in your checked bags. Not that I would do that. And then try not to let it ruin your trip because you can't really do anything about it anyways. As you're watching this video, I have just boarded the Star of the Seas, the newest, biggest cruise ship in the world. I'm so looking forward to showing you around, so please make sure you're subscribed and check back next week. As always, thanks for spending this part of your Sunday or whatever day it is you choose to watch this with me. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. See you soon.